Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day, thanks in a large part to our pals at the VFS School of Game Design. Thank you so much, Vancouver Film School. Today's rundown is dedicated to tragically hip frontman Gord Downie, who has left us, and he was the best of us. He really represented Canada for the world, and we love him, and we will miss him forever. Rest in peace, Gord Downie. This rundown's all yours. There's been a great disturbance in the force and the entire video game industry. Electronic Arts has announced that they've shut down San Francisco-based developer Visceral Games and are moving the studio's upcoming Star Wars project over to other development teams within the company. The game itself, which was being overseen by Uncharted director Amy Hennig, is also being completely retooled. It was supposed to be a story-based linear adventure with a strong focus on specific characters, similar to the Uncharted games, but according to a statement from EA, they've decided to shift everything around in order to stay up to date with fundamental changes in the market. They say that the game will now be a broader experience with more variety and player agency with greater depth and exploration, which kind of sounds like they want it to be a Star Wars version of Destiny, or kind of like what their subsidiary BioWare is doing with their new game Anthem.
All right, let's do this.
As for who's taking over development, EA says the Star Wars game will now be handled by several different teams across their worldwide studios, with development led by a team at EA Canada in Vancouver, which they say has already been working on the project. This is all good news for the EA Canada team, but this is obviously a sad day for Visceral Games. EA is already in the process of shutting down the studio, which had occupied several floors at EA's headquarters in San Francisco. Before working on the Star Wars game, Visceral was most famous for creating the Dead Space series. Thankfully, EA says that they're keeping as many team members as possible and moving them to other projects, but they haven't said how many are being let go. It's also unclear what this means for Amy Hennig herself. At the time we're filming this, EA hasn't said if she's still involved in the Star Wars game now that it's going to be completely different, and it's also unclear if she'll be staying at EA. We also don't know when the new Star Wars game itself might be arriving. It was slated to arrive in fiscal year 2019, but EA says it doesn't have a new release window yet. That means we'll probably have to wait a while, and we'll let you know if they alter the deal further.
Pray I don't alter it any further.
We're disappointed that we'll probably never get to play an Amy Hennig Star Wars game, so hopefully the final product, whatever it ends up being, is still a satisfying experience in its own right. Finally, it appears that all this drama hasn't affected the other Star Wars games coming from EA. Titanfall 2 developer Respawn Entertainment is still working on their new Star Wars adventure, and Battlefront 2 from developer DICE launches next month. Game makers never stop thinking of new ways to get players to buy things. Call of Duty and Destiny publisher Activision has a potential new way of tempting players to spend money on in-game microtransactions using new matchmaking tools. The experimental system is detailed in a patent filed under Activision's name in 2015. Basically, if there's a buyable item that you don't already have, the matchmaking will pair you alongside other players who already have that item, and then place you in gameplay situations where the item would be effective. The idea is that when you see other players using the item, you'll be tempted to buy it yourself. This seems like a clever way to sell more in-game content, but is obviously quite manipulative. If this is the kind of thing that worries you, the good news is that Activision hasn't actually used it in any of their games. In a statement to IGN, an Activision representative says that this was just an exploratory patent filed in 2015 by a research and development team, and it hasn't actually been implemented in any games. That sounds like Activision isn't planning to use it at all, but because they still have the patent, they could change their mind at some point in the future. As for Destiny, Bungie's community manager David Degg also confirms that none of this functionality appears in the Destiny games. Microtransactions and their evil cousin, loot boxes, have been getting greater scrutiny lately as they become more and more prevalent. Most gamers hate them, but many developers and publishers see them as a valuable way to make games more profitable. What do you think about all this? Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Pokemon's lovable Pikachu might sound surprisingly different in his first American movie. The live-action Hollywood film based on the new Pokemon game, Detective Pikachu, is evolving fast, and some crazy new rumors about the film have come in. Rumors have surfaced that Legendary Pictures, the studio behind the film, wants to hire a top leading man to voice the electrifying yellow pocket monster. Rumored names include the likes of Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Mark Wahlberg, and even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. not the type of people you'd associate with the voice of Pikachu. These are just rumors at this point, so take everything with a grain of salt, but it may not be as crazy as it sounds. The Detective Pikachu game features the deep voice of Japanese actor Toru Okawa, so this version of the character already sounds very different than the Pikachu from the main Pokemon games. The new game is yet to be released in North America, so whoever voices the character in the movie could potentially reprise the role for the English version of the game. We'll let you know when we catch new details. The movie is slated to begin filming next year and hits theaters in 2019. Speaking of voices, the Western version of the Nintendo Switch game Fire Emblem Warriors is turning Japanese. With a hack and slash game about to hit stores, Nintendo has revealed new details about the downloadable content they've got coming. The first add-on will be available day one as a free update and will give players of the Western versions the ability to play the game with its original Japanese dialogue. This will be good for those who hate cheesy dubbing. As for post-launch content, Nintendo is planning 3 separate DLC packs, all of which will give players 3 new characters with new weapons and new scenarios, with the first pack slated to drop in December. Nintendo only recently began releasing DLC packs like this for their games, so better late than never. Fire Emblem Warriors deploys on the Switch this Friday. That wraps us up for the rundown. To learn more about game design, visit our friends at VFS.edu. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new episode for you. But in the meantime, watch some of the other cool content we've made, and if you dig it, hit subscribe, okay?